I'd like to thank the members of the Academy for honoring my fellow nominees and myself. This means a lot to me, since it comes from a role in which I was directed by my father.
Hard moments are, they have to be hard. If they weren't hard, it wouldn't be any good.
Anjelica Huston's life has always seemed like a story made for Hollywood. Born on July 8, 1951, in Los Angeles, she entered the world while her father, the famous director John Huston, was far away in Uganda shooting The African Queen. Even her birth carried drama. Her mother, Enrica Soma, was a talented ballerina who raised Anjelica and her brother Tony mostly on her own. Their childhood looked glamorous from the outside because of their famous father. But in truth, it was quiet, isolated, and often lonely. The children were tutored at home instead of going to school, which meant Anjelica rarely had the chance to mix with other kids. Growing up surrounded by fields and animals in Ireland, she felt disconnected from the outside world. Tragedy struck when Anjelica was just 17. Her mother died in a terrible car crash in France at the age of only 39. This shocking loss tore her world apart and left her with feelings of abandonment and anger. Moving to London with her father afterward did not bring comfort. Instead, it deepened her loneliness and uncertainty about her place in life. It was during these fragile years that Anjelica started to explore modeling, art, and eventually acting, though the path was filled with more pain than glamour. In her late teens, Anjelica tried to build a career in modeling. She stood nearly 6 feet tall, which made her presence striking. But it also made her the target of bullies when she was younger. At just 17, she signed with the powerful Ford modeling agency in New York and soon appeared in high-profile shoots, including a memorable session with photographer Richard Avedon. From the outside, she looked like the perfect fashion star, tall, graceful, and confident. But behind the camera, she struggled with dyslexia, deep grief over her mother's death, and the pressure of an industry that constantly judged her looks. She tried drugs like cocaine and LSD during those years, which only added to her sense of confusion. Though she walked the runways of Paris and earned impressive money, the emptiness inside her did not fade. By the early 1970s, she realized the modeling world wasn't where she truly belonged. She turned toward acting, but even that came with challenges. Critics often dismissed her early roles as the product of nepotism, suggesting she only got parts because of her famous father. Her first film, A Walk with Love and Death, directed by John Huston himself, was especially tough. He was harsh with her on set, and the experience left her feeling inadequate. Still, she didn't give up. She knew she wanted to prove she could succeed on her own, not just as John Huston's daughter. As Anjelica was finding her footing in modeling and acting, her personal life became a storm of emotional highs and lows. In her late teens, she became involved with photographer Bob Richardson, a man much older than her and deeply troubled by mental health issues. At first, their connection seemed artistic and exciting, but it quickly turned toxic. His violent mood swings, fueled by bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, made their relationship unstable and frightening. In one terrifying incident, during a heated outburst, she locked herself in a bathroom and cut her wrists, leaving blood on the floor as a desperate cry for love and attention. That period marked one of the darkest chapters in her youth. After breaking away from Richardson, she had a brief and equally troubled relationship with actor Ryan O'Neal. At a glamorous Beverly Hills party, he turned violent, grabbing her hair and striking her head in front of stunned guests. She ended the relationship immediately, though the trauma stayed with her. These painful experiences made her wary. But soon she crossed paths with a man who would define nearly 2 decades of her life, Jack Nicholson. He was older, charming, already a star, and known for his wild lifestyle. Their love story began in 1973, at one of his birthday parties. At just 21 years old, Anjelica was swept into his world of Hollywood glamour, wild nights, and unpredictable passion. But what seemed like a fairy tale quickly turned into a long journey of betrayal, heartbreak, and complicated love. For 17 years, Anjelica and Jack Nicholson lived in a relationship that was as famous as it was stormy. From the start, Nicholson's reputation with women caused problems. He was known for his affairs with models, actresses, and even waitresses. And Anjelica was forced to face the reality that fidelity was never part of his nature. She once found women's clothes in his house, clear evidence of his cheating, but she kept forgiving him. In 1980, she discovered he had fathered a child with another woman. That betrayal pushed her to the breaking point, and in a fit of rage, she physically attacked him, hitting him repeatedly until he backed down. The tabloids loved the scandal, but for Anjelica, it was a painful, humiliating moment. Despite all this, Nicholson kept returning to her, even proposing to her 3 times, in 1975, 1980, and again in 1985, each time she turned him down, knowing deep inside that marriage would not change his ways. In 1989, the final blow came when Nicholson revealed that another woman, Rebecca Broussard, was pregnant with his child. Anjelica snapped again, attacking him in his office before walking out for good. Their relationship ended, but not before leaving deep scars. Looking back, she later admitted she stayed for so long because she truly loved him. She never saw his infidelity as a personal attack, it was just how he was. That acceptance may seem strange to outsiders, but for her, it was the way she survived in Hollywood, where power, beauty, and betrayal often mixed together. While her personal life with Nicholson often made headlines, Anjelica Huston was quietly building an impressive career. In 1985, she starred in Prizzi's Honor, a dark comedy directed by her father. Her performance as a cunning hitwoman earned her widespread praise. The role was difficult because John Huston, already gravely ill, pushed her relentlessly on set, making her repeat scenes again and again, often while criticizing her harshly. Despite the emotional toll, the film became a success. In 1986, her hard work paid off when she won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. It was a historic win. As she became part of a 3-generation Oscar family, her grandfather Walter Huston had won in 1949, and her father John in 1948, for Anjelica. Holding that golden statue was proof that she was more than just someone's daughter or girlfriend. She was a true artist. Still, even at the peak of success, her family dynamics weighed heavily. John Huston favored her brother Tony and often criticized her, leaving her hungry for approval that never fully came. After her father's death in 1987, she carried both grief and a sense of unfinished business. Yet, she pushed forward, finding new roles that allowed her to explore her own identity, independent of her father and Jack Nicholson. In the 1990s, Anjelica took on one of her most iconic roles, the elegant and haunting Morticia Addams in The Addams Family 1991, and its sequel, Addams Family Values 1993. The role cemented her image in pop culture, but it was not as glamorous behind the scenes as it looked on screen. To achieve Morticia's famously slim waist and mysterious appearance, Anjelica had to wear an extremely tight metal corset, endure harsh lighting aimed directly at her eyes, and even have her skin pulled with tape to create a dramatic look. The physical toll was immense, and at the end of filming, she famously burned the costume in a bonfire. Despite the discomfort, her portrayal of Morticia became legendary, earning her a Golden Globe nomination. Around the same time, she took on other challenging roles. In The Witches 1990, she endured hours of heavy prosthetic makeup to transform into the Grand High Witch. While in The Crossing Guard 1995, she faced her ex, Jack Nicholson, on screen. Their real-life heartbreak gave the film's emotional scenes raw authenticity. Each role she chose seemed to mirror parts of her own life: love, betrayal, strength, and resilience. By the end of the decade, she was not just surviving in Hollywood, but thriving as one of its most respected actresses. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, Anjelica was no longer only known for acting. She began directing and taking on projects that reflected her personal values. In Agnes Brown 1999, which she directed and starred in, she played a widowed mother raising 7 children in Dublin. The story, deeply connected to her Irish heritage, was personal and heartfelt. Unfortunately, the film was not widely promoted and struggled at the box office, but critics appreciated its warmth. She also became a strong voice for women in Hollywood, speaking out against sexism and the lack of opportunities for female directors. Later, she shifted into voice acting, playing Queen Clarion in Disney's Tinkerbell films, a role she based on memories of her late mother. This choice showed her softer, maternal side, one that audiences loved. At the same time, she continued to take risks, even appearing nude in the TV series Huff at the age of 55, challenging Hollywood's ageism. Every choice she made reflected her belief in resilience, bravery, and authenticity. In 2019, Anjelica surprised fans when she appeared in John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum. At 68, she trained hard for her fight scenes, showing she still had the toughness that defined her career. But behind the cameras, she was hiding a secret. She had been diagnosed with cancer. She underwent radiation treatments and lost significant weight, yet she never let her illness define her. For 6 years, she kept this struggle private, continuing to work and live with quiet determination. In 2022, she narrated the Andy Warhol Diaries on Netflix, once again showing her talent for bringing raw honesty to the screen. By 2025, at the age of 74, she finally revealed her secret battle with cancer, announcing that she had been cancer-free for 4 years. This revelation shocked many, not because of her illness itself, but because of the incredible strength she had shown in silence. For Anjelica, survival was not just about health, it was about finding joy, laughter, and peace after decades of pain and chaos. Perhaps the most surprising revelation came in 2025, when Anjelica spoke openly about her years with Jack Nicholson. For decades, she had kept quiet about the betrayals, the affairs, and the heartbreak. Now, at 74, she finally explained why she had stayed with him for 17 long years, despite everything. Her answer was simple. She loved him. She said she never took his cheating personally, it was just part of who he was. While others might have hated him for the humiliation, she held on to the friendship they still shared. In fact, when wildfires struck California that same year, destroying thousands of homes, Nicholson, now 87, was one of the first people to call her, offering his own home for shelter. For her, it was proof that their bond, however painful, was real. Looking back, she admitted that the anger, the fights, and even the violence could never erase the strange closeness they shared. It was complicated love, but it was love all the same. Today, Anjelica Huston's story is not just about Hollywood fame. It is about survival through loss, betrayal, and hardship. She lost her mother at 17, endured abusive relationships, faced public humiliation, and struggled with self-worth in the